Good morning, Year 6. Happy Friday. I hope you are having a good day so far. Welcome to today's English lesson. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are lots of words of the day. In fact, there are all of them that we have learnt so far this term. And what I would like you to do is, first challenge today is to prove to me that you can remember what they mean, okay? Can you write me, please, 3 sentences using any 3 words? So 1 word per sentence, proving to me that you can still remember them. You can choose which words you want to use. So I want 3 sentences using any 3 words of the day. That is challenge number 1. So pause the video and have a go at this now. Fabulous, well done. Okay. So we finished Oliver Twist, and so today's lesson is going to be a lot shorter and a bit different. And there are 2 things that I'd like you to try to do. And number 1 is something that we're going to do together, and it is creating a toolkit. So have a listen to this. Can you work out who this person is meant to be? He was a small boy with wide blue eyes rimmed by purple black bags, the colour of the thunderclouds overhead. His skin was as pale as porcelain and just as fragile, dotted as it was by bruises and cuts. Underneath the filthy grey cap hid golden blonde hair, the hair of an angel. His clothes were filthy, as if he'd been up a chimney and ripped in places and worn through in others. His shoes were as thin as paper, barely held together, and his toes peeked out as if shy of being seen. His voice was no more than a breath of a whisper, and he moved slowly, more like a sloth than a snail, as if he were afraid of any sudden move may draw more attention to his poor, broken self. Okay, first of all, I want you to think, who is this person? Who have I tried to describe? It is Oliver. Yes, well done to those of you who worked out. Okay, your next challenge now is on VB Primary, there is this particular description. What I want you to do is I want you to annotate it like you would in class. I want you to see if you can work out what tools have been used to help me write this. What techniques have I used? I'm talking about adjectives, expanded noun phrases, similes, metaphors, anything like that, verbs. What can you spot? And I want you to use colour pen or pencil if you can, and see if you can find as many different types as you can. This task should take you probably about 10 to 15 minutes. If you know that you're going to find this tricky, maybe give yourself 8 minutes, set a timer and then stop it, and then come back to the video, and then we will go through the answers together. So you need to pause the video now, set yourself a timer, use the sheet and highlight it. Welcome back. Okay, how many things did you get? I wonder if you got more than I did. Okay, let's have a look first of all. What techniques did you spot? So, first of all, expanded noun phrases were there. First of all, here we go. He was a small boy with wide blue eyes, purple black bags. Expanded noun phrase is where we use an adjective, another adjective, and a noun, a thing, a person, place, thing, feeling, okay? It's a thing, okay? That's why self is a thing. Yourself is a thing. I think I've got them all there. If you can spot any that I have missed, then you can email me and let me know, but I think I've got them all. Did you? If you didn't, make sure that you choose the colour you've used for expanded noun phrases and you fill it in. Similes. Now, hopefully, lots of you got the similes. As pale as porcelain. As if he'd been up a chimney. So he hadn't been up a chimney, but it was like he'd been up a chimney. As thin as paper, as if shy of being seen. So they weren't, you know, toes really can't be shy, can they? And in some ways, that's kind of personification. Or Yeah, personification. But that's another one. And like a sloth. That's another simile. Are there any more that I've missed? If so, let me know. If you got all of those, well done. If not, fill them in. What else did we find? Subordinate clauses. You might not have been looking for these. And if you weren't, can you fill them in now in a different coloured pencil? Take your time. You might want to pause the video to give yourself a chance. Remember, a subordinate clause tells us a little bit more information, and it comes in all sorts of different places within a sentence. Generally, it is cut off with commas, either commas either side of it, or a comma after it, or a comma before it. So underneath a filthy grey cat is a subordinate clause. As if he'd been up a chimney is a subordinate clause because it's in parenthesis, it's in those two commas, barely held together, same again, within the two commas, and a subordinate clause at the end as being a subordinating conjunction. Did you get those? If you didn't, can you pause the video now and fill them in and highlight them with your highlighter? And if you did, well done, much respect. Adverbs and verbs. I didn't really use very many verbs in this particular description. And in the description that we're going to be writing next week, we are going to be using a lot more verbs because we're definitely going to be describing action a bit more. So, peeking out, that is to peek is a verb, and peeking out, and shy is the adverb because it describes how he was peeking. And move slowly, that's a very traditional verb and adverb combo. Hopefully you should be happy with those. Are there any more that I've missed? I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. Metaphor. Now, metaphor is the one that we all find. Okay, so let's look at the different types of metaphor that have been used here. I'm not going to start with the first one. I'm going to come back to that, okay? But we have the hair of an angel. It doesn't literally have angel's hair. He hasn't like stolen it. But we're comparing it to the hair of an angel, that kind of curly blonde lusciousness, okay? His voice was no more than a breath of a whisper. That is a sort of metaphor because it wouldn't literally, but it's comparing it directly to being like, okay, poor broken self. Now, as previously been highlighted as an expanded noun phrase, but it's also a metaphor because he's not literally broken, okay? We're not saying he's got broken bones, but we're saying himself, his inside, his soul maybe is broken. Okay, let's go back to the top. The thunderclouds overhead. Now, this is a metaphor because although it talks about the weather, it's not really talking about the weather. It's using something called pathetic fallacy, okay? And pathetic fallacy could come under the metaphor umbrella. I wanted to highlight it here, and I didn't want to do it on its own. Pathetic fallacy is where you use the weather to set the scene, okay? So if I said, I walked on the beach and it was a bright sunny day, do you think I'm gonna have a good time or a bad time? I'm gonna have a good time. It's nice and sunny, it's lovely, okay? If I said, I walked on the beach and the thunder clapped overhead and hail started to fall, something bad is gonna happen. Okay, weather is used loads in films. If you're into Harry Potter and you've watched any of the Harry Potter films, the first bit, I think of number 5, you might Google it and find it. The first scene in Harry Potter 5, the weather turns and it gets cold and rainy and the Dementors come. And that is using this pathetic fallacy to kind of set the scene. So here, thunderclouds overhead, something bad's going to happen. You know, he's looking rough anyway, and it's gonna thunder. It's sad. It shows us we should be sad. Okay, so what should be in our toolkit? I would like you right now to get a pen and a piece of paper and copy this down as you would in school, as we would write together in school, okay? Because you will need to keep a copy of this for yourselves at home, so you can remember what to include when you do your writing next week. So first up, third person. We're writing in the third person. He, she, they, it, right? Third person. You need to use adjectives. This is the basic level. If you can write in the third person and use adjectives when you are describing a character, you're going to be working at Orange Uni level, and that's fine. You want to move up the level, then you need to use expanded noun phrases, which quite frankly, if you're using adjectives, you should be using expanded noun phrases anyway. So you're already off to a pretty good start. So you need to use expanded noun phrases. Can you remember what an expanded noun phrase is? It is an adjective, noun, okay? Like big blue bag or grey dusty hat, all right? Could you write that down perhaps underneath the expanded noun phrase so you have an example? Next thing you're going to have to use in character description are verbs and adverbs. And that is going to be really important when we get onto action, because how people move tells us an awful lot about themselves. Are they old and hunched and moving slowly, or are they lithe and quick and moving as quick as a flash because they are young and lively, maybe, okay? So verbs and adverbs, they are doing words and the words that describe the do, okay? So maybe right now you could put an example down, something more exciting than ran quickly, but if you can't think of another one, you could write that down too. Similes. We are year 6, we use similes, okay? This is easy for us, we've been doing it for ages. Similes. Similes use like or as to indirectly compare something to something else, okay? So you need to be including those in your toolkit. It paints a precise picture for our readers if we are describing it to something that they are familiar with, okay? So a simile, let's try not to use the retread ones like as quick as a flash or he ran like a cheetah, because they're a bit boring. Can we try to use something more exciting? Can you take a second here and write down a good simile that you've heard? Any good simile, just to help you remember using like or as. Metaphor. Okay. If you are aiming to be purple, extended abstract, I would expect to see metaphor in your writing, okay? If you're going for green, similes will do, but metaphor is really an extended abstract sort of thing. So metaphor is where you directly compare something to something else. He was a slug. He's not literally a slug, but he's like slimy and slow and not very nice, okay? He was a slug of a man, would be a metaphor, okay? Can you write down an example of a metaphor? She is a star. I say that all the time, and that's a metaphor. She's not literally a star, but I'm describing her as a star. Finally, subordinate clauses, although this isn't a finally because I've actually thought of something else. Subordinate clauses. This is again something that I would like to see in both green, which is multi, I'm suddenly not relational, and extended abstract. It is showing me that you can vary your sentence structure. You can do that by using subordinate clauses. So if you are familiar with I saw a wabub, then that I use in my class quite a lot. If, since, although, because, blah, 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 blah. Using those to begin your sentences and using words in the middle of sentences like that makes your writing more interesting, okay? Writing the same shape of sentence every single time is boring, so don't do it. Something I haven't put on here that I feel like I really want to add is speech. And in fact, I am going to do this. Here we go. I'm going to add it in right now, speech, because speech is really important in the writing that we're doing because we're going to be using that. So that is something that I would like us to try to include. All right, speech. So you need to know how to use speech marks properly. If you are a bit dusty, you've forgotten because we did it a couple of weeks ago, don't worry, we'll recap that again. So these are your tasks for today. You need to create your own toolkit, adding in examples to help you remember what each skill is, which we've been doing as we've been going along. So if you haven't finished that yet, do that now. Is there anything else that you might add on top of speech? No, that's fine if not, but if there's something that I have forgotten, then please add it into your own toolkit. Now, I would like to see your toolkits. I'm not going to necessarily comment on them unless you have forgotten something important. So try not to, okay? Then I would love it if you can manage to find a copy of Oliver Twist and watch the film. There are certain snippets that are on YouTube. You must get a grown-up's permission before you go and do this, okay? But what I would like us to try to do is to create a word bank. And you could do this best by watching the film and just noting down any great words or phrases that they use. If you can't watch Oliver Twist, don't panic. It's fine. But if you can, I believe it may be on Amazon Prime. I don't know. And I know that there are certain things on YouTube. Definitely ask your grown-ups before you do this, okay? So that's all there is today. I would like you to email me those words because we're going to create a word bank in Thursday's lesson. In Monday's lesson. And if I can get a jump on that and start doing that before that lesson, that would be brilliant. Okay, so toolkit, create it, write it, make it look showbiz, keep it somewhere safe. We're going to need it. And watch the film. If you can't watch the film and you know some words and phrases that you really like, perhaps from the writing that we did for the Artful Dodger, then note those down, or any other words that you can think of, or maybe your grown-ups can think of, or maybe get in touch with your grandparents and see if they know any old-fashioned words that we could use. Have a great Friday. Have an even better weekend. Take some time away from the computer, year 6. You are working very hard. We're very proud of you, but make sure you have a bit of a break. And I shall see you on Monday morning at 9:15 for our lesson. Have a good one. Take care, and I shall see you